Testing 1, 2, 3. All right, are you ready?
I think I'm ready.
Before we start with the music, just introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm John. How are you?
So I'm going to play you some songs. You're going to tell me who the artist is.
At the end, do I get like $27
Yes.
or something? Okay.
Yes.
Can I buy a vowel?
Yeah, we can do that.
Have you ever figured out what's the right side?
Yeah. You nailed it.
That's Blue Moon by Elvis Presley.
Yes. Tell me about Elvis.
Was the greatest. When I was a kid and Elvis first came on the scene, he was very rebellious looking. I mean, he was a classic version of Juvenile Delinquent.
Yeah.
He played all this wild music. Oh my goodness. They called it rockabilly, but eventually it was just rock and roll. His records were the best. That early session of his life was still, I don't think anyone's touched that, even the Beatles. I was on board, whatever he did. That record you just played, I don't think anything's ever come close to how spooky that is. You know, he made a rock and roll version of Blue Moon.
1 for 1.
Let's quit now. Maybellene, Chuck Berry.
Yes, sir. Tell me about Chuck.
Certainly one of the greatest songwriters ever. There used to be a radio show in the years when that came out. It was called Make It or Break It. And they'd play a record and people would call in and say, no, I hate that, break it. It was a 2-hour show. They ended up playing Maybellene for the whole show. No one ever said break it. They just said make it. You know, his storytelling and his imagery and his words. The other side of that record was called Wee Wee Hours, kind of a standard chess blues, but Chuck did it so well that it rose above. His songs were full of colorful pictures.
Yeah.
He's one of the people I really tried to learn from as a songwriter because he was kind of giving you extra. It was more than just, oh, Betty Lou, I'm so blue. He had all these events going on. And besides his writing, Chuck was an incredible guitar player. I mean, if you tell somebody to play Chuck Berry, at least people from my side of the fence, they know immediately what to do.
You mentioned Chess Records. Did you pay attention to that label or any labels and follow
along?
Yeah,
as a kid that loved rock and roll, sure. This might be the classic tale of the difference between the 50s, 60s, whatever, early rock and roll, and now in the internet age. In those days, trying to glean some kind of knowledge about an artist, you didn't even know what he looked like, and so you'd study that label like this was Chess, and down there you learned under the title, there's parentheses, that's where the songwriter was listed. Then you saw how long the song was, usually about 2 minutes and 12 seconds, or 11 if it was a short song. 13 if it was a long song.
$10. We're going for 20.
That was $10 Chuck we got there. Yeah, okay, that's Bob Dylan, Subterranean Blues.
Tell me about Bob.
Probably the greatest songwriter in the rock and roll era. He had a different way with words. Bob, how did you get 115 words in the first line? You know, I'm the blues.
So a lot of earlier songs were like a girl's name and talking about Sally Lee and Betty Lou and it was just so much more complicated than that. He's just telling you giving you so much more information.
Well, some people were able to do stories like Chuck, like Maybellene. Rainwater flowing all under my hood, knew that I was doing my motor good. What in the world could that mean? You had to reason that out. But Bob was talking about the human condition. He always said he didn't write any protest songs, but I think he was the poster boy of protest songs. He was challenging, especially for young people who maybe didn't think that way, because they didn't notice. You know, they weren't told a lot in school.
Yeah.
In this case, you could learn more from a 3-minute record, or maybe 2, than you could learn in school.
Going for 40.
Oh, you were doubling.
Double or nothing, yeah.
I thought it was only 15, but thanks, okay. I'll give the extra $5 to my caddy.
1, 2, 3, 5!
It's the Beatles. She was just 17.
You know the Beatles?
I've met 3 Beatles.
There we go.
Yeah, I met Paul, Ringo, and I spent the most time, you might say, with George. Would you like to hear about it?
Nah.
One night in 1987 in Southern California, Taj Mahal was playing at the Palomino. I heard that George Harrison was in the building. So I snuck around there was this sort of cloakroom. It was just a curtain, drawn across some corner. And I peeked my head, and George Harrison was standing there. And I think I had met him. He was sort of, hiding like celebrities do.
Yeah.
So I walked in. He said, "Oh, John," or "John," And I said, "Hey, man, how you doing?" We got to talking in and out, music and all that. And suddenly George blurts out, "Well, the band really loved Creedence." I was kind of stunned. I'm really not doing this to drop names. I think I'm trying to lay on you how impressed I was with that sentence, which I've carried ever since. I'm standing there with a Beatle, and he says, "Well, the band really loved Creedence." It was just amazing to think about. Thank you, George. I saw him at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame a few months later. There's a big crowd around him. I walked up, and poked my head. "Hey, George, how's it feel to be the hottest guy in showbiz?" He looks up, he says, "It's a bloody nuisance."
We know that the Beatles liked you guys. Did you guys like the Beatles?
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. The Beatles were the greatest rock and roll band of all time.
There we go.
All that great songwriting, all that great singing, all that great playing, and they took you to worlds you didn't know existed, like Strawberry Fields. Everyone always says it, and I'll say it too. I don't think there'll ever be another band like that, because they had so many talented people, and they managed to keep it together for quite a while.
John Brown's body lies a moldering in the grave.
Okay. Yeah, it's Pete Seeger.
Pete Seeger.
My mother was a huge fan of folk music.
Yep.
And she was a huge fan of Pete Seeger. When I was about 3.5 years old, my mom brought me home from nursery school one day, sat me down, and gave me a little yellow record. It was going to be my possession. It might be my first possession in the world. And she plays both sides. One side was "Oh, Susanna." The other side was Camptown Races. Doo-dah, doo-dah. And she plays them a couple times each. Then she says, "I'm going to explain something to you, John. The songwriter of those songs is Stephen Foster." Of course, I'd never heard of a songwriter before. And so I became aware of Stephen Foster. I didn't know what Americana was and all that, but turns out he was sort of the godfather of all that. And so my mom was sort of giving me a huge insight that kind of guided my life from then on. Finally, in the late 50s, I was about 12 years old, my mom says, "Guess what? They're having a wonderful concert event called the Berkeley Folk Festival, and I'm going to take you. There's a whole week long of stuff. Nighttime is concerts. Daytime, there's these workshops. And at these workshops, one of the hosts is Pete Seeger, was all about Leadbelly and showing films of Leadbelly. And I really liked that. So Pete Seeger was this guy telling stories about other folk singers. At the end of the week-long celebration, there's a big barbecue thing. I got to meet Pete Seeger. Walked right up and shook his hand. I think I got his autograph at the time. One of the songs that Pete sang during that week, during his concert, was a song called "Where Have All the Flowers Gone," which he wrote. That had a huge impact on me. Pete was the greatest entertainer I ever saw. He engaged the audience. Everybody sang along, had an incredibly great time.
He was like a steward of folk music, too. Beyond just being a performer, he cared about sharing the art form, it seems like, with people like you, with everyone he could.
He was also the head of the folk police. And so...
Don't break the rules.
I was a kid, and so I just liked what I liked.
Yeah.
And you learned when you were liking Pete Seeger in folk music, or Bill Monroe in bluegrass, or some of the others, no, it should go this way, So Pete, as legend has it, at the Newport Folk Festival was crying while Bob Dylan was going electric.
So is that when you decided to become a songwriter?
Yeah, from the time I was 3. I don't know that I actively did it, but what I remember as my first song, I was listening to the rhythm and blues station. I'm 8 years old, and I can walk to school. This is he's doing an ad for some kind of laundry soap. And he says, "Do you have the wash day blues?" And that stuck in my head. Wow. All the way to school, I got my little sack, my paper sack with my lunch in it, because I was too young to be carrying books. This is before Sputnik.
Yeah.
Right. I'm walking to school. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, I got the workday blues. Dun, 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 dun. I got so many clothes, I got to work. Dun, 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 dun. I don't got no pants anymore because they're all dirty. Dun, 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 dun. Right. I was combining what he said with the only musical riff I knew, which was Muddy Waters, Willie Dixon's lick. I wrote a song. I can't remember the rest of it. I think I gave you a little of it there.
You get a little blues. A little wash day blues.
There you go.
Okay, speaking of songwriters.
You might like to hear something from us.
Nice and easy. As Tina Turner, Proud Mary.
Wait, who wrote that song?
Why, young man, I wrote that song.
So I want to hear about when you heard that record, that version of it.
It was about this time of year, so it got dark early. I was in the car driving by myself, and that came on the radio, and I knew immediately it was Tina. Number one, it sounded great.
Yeah.
I think there was like your chest puffed out, bursting because there's pride, but the main thing I think I felt was I was a huge fan of Tina.
Yeah.
And she had never really broken through to the top. In fact, as a kid in the Blue Velvets, I would do this song of hers called I Think It's Gonna Work Out Fine. It was just a really bad record. It was really cool. By the time Tina's version of Proud Mary was over, I was really happy and overjoyed for her.
That's cool.
I said, oh man, you've done it. Here we go.
And it's transformed. It's not the same song, but
Absolutely.
It's still there at its core. It's there.
Yeah, well, I think that's what made it what it was.
Yeah.
That it was different.
Goodbye,
That's Hank Williams' Jambalaya.
Hank Williams.
I loved Hank Williams as much as I loved the Beatles or Elvis. The songs were mostly painful, it seemed to me.
So sad.
He had some good imagery, too.
Yeah.
A lot of people think of Hank, or used to anyway, as sort of the father, not like Jimmy Rogers, who's the absolute beginning, but Hank was the king, maybe, of country music. I mean, he made me want to play like that or sing like that. You know, he died at 29.
Prolific until
Died
then.
on New Year's Day, 1953. Sitting in the back of a convertible Cadillac. How's that? Couldn't write it any better than that, but...
I love your version.
Oh, thanks.
Tell me about Taylor Swift. You re-recorded some of your songs in the way that she did.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Was there a little inspiration?
I became aware of Taylor Swift through my daughter, Kelsey. She was exactly the right age when Taylor came along. I think she was about 7-ish.
Yeah.
Being a parent is the most wonderful thing. You get to see the world through a child's eyes, right? I hate to tell you, but I stayed there. Of course, I was taking her to school every morning. We would listen to Taylor in the car. So I learned all the songs. Naturally, at some point, taking her to school, I just looked at her. I'm driving. I said, honey, there's so many great songs here. Taylor had this wonderful career. If her contract was up, she wanted to own her records. So she started re-recording her records. I think she got up to about 4 that she'd re-recorded, and they were great. Doing that, I think, kind of pushed the universe in the right direction to where she was able to purchase her own records. It really touched my heart. I just thought, you're rooting for somebody to finally get to do that. Every artist should get to own their own music.
And you did something similar.
After more than 50 years, through the good graces of my dear wife, Julie, who made it happen, I finally was able to purchase and own my songs from the Creedence days. And it's just the greatest thing. It has changed everything for me, for us. And I recently did an album called Legacy, in which I re-recorded 20 of my former songs.
And they also sound amazing.
Oh, thank you. It's a labor of love. It's something I did with my family. It was many, many months of dedication. And in some weird way, a result happened that I never knew about or counted on. And that was that it sort of put a focus, kind of a... Brought to you by Rumble Bumble and the Diesels. Legacy put a bow around that era of my songs. In some ways, those songs were all taken for granted, that they fell out of the sky or something. It focused it and pointed at the guy who wrote them, which was me, of course.
So what's next for you?
More music?
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe Legacy too.
Well, we would love to see it.
Well, thank you.
So you won. We're going to make a donation in your name.
Oh, I won?
Yeah.
$100?
Yeah. Do you have a charity?
Abused children would be something I would certainly want to support.
Thanks for coming on the show.
You bet.
So great to meet you.
Nice to meet you here in Central Park.
The best.